Hi there, I'm Mike from ATB Guitars in Cheltenham, UK, and this is Q&A with Mike number 19. So let's get straight on with the questions. There's some good ones this time. Thank you very much for sending them all in on our various social media channels and YouTube, etc. So straight on, question number 1 from Rob Archibon, who asks us via Instagram. What are the chances of me finding a Terry Morgan? Well, that's a good question, Rob. They are out there. They do exist. For those people who don't know, Terry Morgan was a brilliant replica guitar builder. He built some of the finest Les Paul replicas you can buy, basically. And he came to prominence at a time when Gibson weren't necessarily building the most authentic Les Pauls. This is basically bursts, 59 standards. But Terry was. He was building a much more accurate replica of a burst than Gibson were at that time. So Terry had a bit of a cult reputation for building these amazing guitars, and he grew quite a good following amongst his devotees. And he had a workshop up near Birmingham somewhere, Walsall, I think it was. And he handmade all of these guitars from his workshop, and they were actually reasonably priced for what they were. A hand-built, very accurate Les Paul replica. Now, sadly, Terry died a couple of years ago, so there's not going to be any more Terry Morgans. So what Terry Morgans out there now are pretty scarce and sometimes difficult to get hold of. We have had them before, but I mean, I'm going to be honest here, we can't advertise them, and we don't advertise them, and we don't actively look for them anymore because Gibson don't like it. We advertised one once, and Gibson very nicely contacted us and said, look chaps, you shouldn't really be advertising this. It says Gibson in the headstock, and it's not something we think you should be doing. And we agreed, and we ceased and desist from advertising Terry Morgans. So yes, Rob, you can find them out there. You have to do a bit of hunting, and you won't find a mainstream dealer like us advertising them. You would have to ask around. Look on social media platforms. People sometimes mention them as a sort of code as well, like TMFS, means Terry Morgan for sale. And if you do find one, they're very, very nice. They're lovely. Terry's earlier ones were less accurate than his later ones, but as a general rule of thumb, Terry's earlier replicas had nicer woods, in my opinion, to his later ones. But do hunt them down because they're well worth it. He was an expert builder, a real artisan, and they're really great guitars. So good luck with your search. Okay, question number 2. Nigel Evans from YouTube asks us, has there been any further feedback on Bonamassa and his Dirty Burst? Yes, there has. I saw Joe in Costa Mesa, California, very soon after he got Dirty Burst back from glaziers who were doing the restoration of it, and it looked really great. They've done a superb job. One of the pickups, I believe, couldn't really be salvaged, so he had to swap out the pickups on it. They'd done a fantastic job. It's playable now, at least, anyway. When we got it, it wasn't playable at all. And according to Joe, he's very happy with it. It sounds great, and it's become part of his touring roster. If you do a search on YouTube, Bonamassa, he's renamed it now. He's calling it the Royal Albert. Dirty Burst wasn't a great name, so he's decided to call it the Royal Albert, which is where he bought it from us. And if you do a search, Joe Bonamassa, the Royal Albert, there are a couple of videos out there with him playing it live, and also I believe there's a recent interview of him with one of the famous guitar YouTubers. Chris Shiflett. Thank you very much. There you go. Interview of him with that very famous guitar YouTuber who's talking about the burst, how he got it and how he restored it. So that's worthwhile checking out. So all in all, happy endings, I would say, for everyone concerned with that deal of the Dirty Burst. And it was such an enjoyable piece for us to have and to deal with Joe. And we hope that he continues to enjoy it as much as he does. Okay, next question is from Steve Cox, who writes via YouTube, one of our top 5 videos. Steve says, "Hi Mike, I love these short vids. You are a great salesman and display your craft well, professionally pointing out the attributes of each model. But do you ever pick up a guitar that speaks to you immediately in terms of feel and or sound? Maybe it's not a looker, maybe it's a wrong paint or bridge, but inexplicably it's just a great guitar." Thanks, Steve. Yeah, that's a good question. And I can honestly say the answer to that is a resounding yes, absolutely. Sometimes when you pick up a guitar, it just feels right. And I'm sure a lot of people will know what I'm talking about when I say this. You can't really explain why it feels right. It just feels right to you. The neck will instantly feel comfortable. You'll be able to play it with great ease. You can bend all the way up the fingerboard, and the feel of a guitar will just be perfect for you. Now that's happened several times in my career here. We've handled hundreds and hundreds, thousands in fact, of vintage guitars, and there are a handful which particularly spring to mind. I had an absolutely gorgeous 1957 Strat a few years ago. That one just felt dead right when I picked it up. It was absolutely amazing, and it felt perfectly as well. It had a slight V on the neck, and it was absolutely gorgeous to play. This one is also a hardtail, which was unusual because normally not many people like hardtails, but this one was extra special. I can also think of a Les Paul Custom, which we had, which was actually a 72 reissue. That felt perfect as soon as I picked it up. And I know people might think, well, he's going to save us anyway. But yes, there's been at least 2 or 3 bursts which that has happened as well. If you've ever played a really good burst, you will know immediately that there's really nothing else like it. And you just need to stumble across one which you gel with, and most of the bursts are really pretty good, so that's not such a hard thing to find. And when you do find one which you really, really like, they're absolutely killer. You just can't beat it at all. Others which I know I've gelled with, mid-60s Telly, which I personally owned for a while with the maple cap neck. That was absolutely incredible. And an SG Custom, of all things, which I had, I think it was a 1961, and that was just so effortless to play and felt absolutely fantastic. Not a guitar which is people's instant favourite, but this particular one just felt perfect. And this one also was a refin as well. So if you're looking for the feel, if you're looking for something which gels with you, then you don't necessarily need to look for something which is all original. You basically just need to pick it up, play it, and you'll know probably within seconds if it's the guitar for you. Hope that helps. Okay, next question is an interesting question. This is from Russell Van Wyck. Russell writes from Instagram, "Is the vintage market dying?" Well, okay, Russell, that's an interesting question. And obviously, I feel fairly well positioned to be able to answer this. And your short answer is going to be no, it's not. The long answer is interesting things have happened in the vintage guitar market. And recently you can categorize them as pre-COVID, post-COVID, or pre-pandemic, post-pandemic. The vintage guitar market was slowing down, actually, I would say, pre-pandemic. When the pandemic came along, when the lockdowns came into force, we thought, my God, this is going to be it. We're not going to sell another guitar for ages. But ironically, the reverse happened. We still remained open, and we were selling a lot of guitars. Now, us, like a lot of people, thought that this would die out when the pandemic eased and lockdowns ceased, but from our experience, it really hasn't. We're selling more vintage guitars than we did 3 years ago, more vintage guitars this year than we sold last year. In fact, this year so far has been a record year for us, and we're not seeing any lack of demand for these wonderful instruments. Now, some people say, and I've heard this a lot on some of the forums, that it's only the boomers who are buying these guitars. That is not the case, I can assure you that. We are getting quite a diverse customer base here, and we're getting people in their 20s, in their 30s and 40s buying vintage guitars, not only to play, but as investments. People are taking them on the road, they're not locking them away, like a lot of people think this is the case. And for the right guitars, there's a good, solid demand, and often we're able to sell things before they go onto a website. The right ones, when they do go on the website, or we do promote them in social media, they're gone straight away. So is the vintage guitar market dying? No, not from our experience, it's not. I think my colleagues across the world will back me up as well. I talk to some of these people frequently, and they're saying the same. There's no lack of demand. So if you were hoping that the vintage guitar market might be dying, and you were hoping to snag a cheap guitar in a few months' time, then I really wouldn't hold your breath, because from where I'm standing, it looks good right now. I hope that helps answer your question. Right, well, that wraps up this Q&A session. Thank you very much for all your really interesting questions. There's been a good variety this time round. Please follow us on Instagram, on Facebook, and on YouTube. Please give us a like and subscribe if you like this and want to subscribe. We would very much appreciate that. And I look forward to seeing you in the next one.